Whatever. Here it comes. We're back.
Hey chat, welcome back to the stream. Hopefully you can hear us.
Hello.
Now. We are really sorry about that. We had some audio issues.
So funny.
But
Okay, here we
course, I'm
go. For
here with
realsies.
Hello, nice to have me.
It's very nice to have you indeed. And we are, where are we? Oh my god, it's very, very spooky here. And of course, that means we are having a developer live stream for the web of the Empress event.
Yes.
It's gonna be super awesome, and we have a lot of things to talk about. We are not going to
lot of
watch the
things.
trailer, so we are going to be going into the presentation and talk about the update itself.
Yeah,
right
it's
away.
gonna be an
Okay.
impressive
What do we
amount
got?
of stuff we're gonna go through today.
Impressive amount of
very
stuff.
impressive.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about the event then. When is
Yes.
it?
Yeah,
the
so
event
more
will start
normal-sized
in 2 days'
event,
time,
but well, a little bit
2 days' time,
longer.
in September 24th, and it will run until December the 10th. So quite a bit of time.
It's a
to go
little
through.
over. It's like two and a
this
bit
will be
months.
the final
Not
chapter
bad.
of our Tarot event trilogy. So talk more about all of that. what
Has
it
this
means in
been
a second.
tarot related? I guess, yeah, no, it has
and of
been.
course,
The Judge
we
and the
have a
Fool.
brand new battle pass
Garden of the
with
Witch.
many amazing rewards. We are also going to be talking
Okay.
about that in a bit. And what are the main things?
So he said a
we're
lot,
gonna
a
talk
lot,
about
a
the
lot.
new AI that some of you might have already seen. The
Some of you might have already
tarot
seen.
cards,
That
and,
is.
we're going to talk about the.
What do you
location
mean?
where this
The
all
entire
happens.
thing
So it's going to be very
spiders.
interesting, and the things you can find there, etc. So scarce weapons and more. We'll talk about in detail.
Yeah, we also have a lot of
Yeah, we know a little bit of what's
balancing
coming because they
changes,
put out a
weapon
blog
balance,
post, so we know we get 2 new
and
scarce
a lot to
weapons,
talk
and we're
about here.
getting
So it's gonna be a
these
very
tarot
exciting
cards that
stream.
do
And
stuff.
I
So
wanted to mention, just like with
among
our
other
last
things.
event, there's gonna be more activities coming during the event. So please make sure to follow us on all social media,
Okay.
subscribe on
So they're doing more
YouTube, follow us on
activities. This
Twitch
is probably
to
going to be
keep
like
up with
the
all the cool things
like
that will
pick a
come
side
during
like
the event.
fool or
Nice.
judge thing.
So are we ready to talk about?
Absolutely, let's go.
I
Let's
hope
go.
they
Alright, let's talk
change
about
them up a
the
little
lore
bit,
of
to
the
be
event.
honest.
What is
Event
happening
lore,
in the
wow,
event?
that's
So,
crazy
yeah,
that we're still
we
trying
have
to
a
do
new
this, even though we took
infestation,
lore out of the
spreading across
game and like
bayou,
fired
but
all the
also across
writers.
the
But
mountains.
okay.
And what we are seeing now is an infestation from the Bileweavers. They are like little spewing swarms that kind of like infest certain locations. So we talk about in a second what those locations are. And obviously the hunters are now called for action to kind of contain that infestation, contain the spread before
Okay.
all is lost.
Yeah, and as you said, they have to stop this. But why is it happening?
Okay.
Because there's like the main antagonist of the event.
Yeah, so this is all related to the Empress. The Empress is a former noblewoman, like a lady of high society.
Yes, I'm
And
assuming
she
it's
was
the
left
lady
for
that we
dead.
saw.
She was infected by the Bileweavers, and
He kept murdered
that is
in the
kind of
trailer,
like
but-
twisted and corrupted her in a way, and created the Bileweavers to begin with because of the infestation on her, etc. So they kind of spawned off her conversion
Ew.
through the darkness, the
Mother of the swarm.
twisted, weird corruption that we have. And now she reigns as the Empress. Now, what that means is that she's our antagonist this time around. She's the mother of the
Okay.
swarm, and I talk a bit more about her.
Yeah,
Interesting,
but,
we have, like, a
you
clear-cut
mentioned also the
antagonist.
Bileweavers, but they only obey hunger.
Yeah,
not
but
even her sometimes.
she's not safe, and that means you can still play her as a hunter, because obviously you want her to suffer and experience the same way.
Yeah, so let's take a quick
feed
look
her
at
to her
Yeah,
own
that's how she looks.
children.
It's amazing. I really love that. Like,
She
like
does
the whole
look really
wrapped up
cool.
stuff there.
I don't know if
There's
I'll play her
also
very
a
much.
Pretty cool.
It's not like my
pretty
type
cool
of skin,
overview
but, like,
where you
she-
see, like,
she is
almost
very
like a
cool
crown
looking.
that she has there, right?
Looks
so
like
she
a
definitely is
new
the
conversion
Empress,
pistol skin
of the
there.
Bileweavers.
Maybe uppercut that we
Yeah,
heard in the
but,
trailer.
Of course, the story doesn't just have an antagonist, but it has some main protagonist characters.
Yeah, well, we don't know
Okay,
if that's really
fate and
true for all of them.
prophecy.
So
Sure.
That's true.
let's start maybe like that. So people are drawn together by fate and prophecy. So they have a part to play in whatever unfolds there in the bayou in the mountains. So let's have a look at some of those guys. So,
One of the main characters is
So-
called the Hanged Man.
yeah.
Okay.
So this guy, he's basically cheating death all the time. He's very lucky with drawing his trades, apparently. Now he's been hanged 9 times in a row already, and never really died from it. Always managed to get away in the end. So definitely not his first time. And he's using the Forbidden Tarot in order to kind of like predict the future, get out of like situations, etc. So he's
Oh my
wielding
God.
tarot in
Good
a very, very
reference.
prophetic way.
Yeah, I guess through all that trauma that he suffered.
I wonder,
during all
like, does
those
this mean
things,
that they're
he
going to be
gained some
bringing
specific
all of
powers
this, like,
into the tarot.
are they bringing
But,
lore back
he's
in a
not the only
meaningful
one.
way?
We have the storms here.
Yeah, we also have the storms here, and
No,
so she got
they're
struck by
putting a lot of
lightning,
emphasis on
and,
this.
since then, she's cursed with visions, and
Okay, so
obviously
this
the
is the
whole
lady that we
situation
saw
about
had,
this
like,
is something
the
she's heavily invested
scar
in.
across her
so
face, the
whether
older
it's
lady in
about
the trailer.
depression or whether it's about like supporting, it's to be found out.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course, this whole story, as you mentioned, it's about fate and prophecy, and all these hunters are coming together, and a very exciting story will unfold that you'll of course find out during the event.
Yeah.
So is this going to come from like the community events, or is it going to be like the battle pass stuff?
Some of the main characters we mentioned, so we of course have to hang around here. Very cool.
A really cool guy.
Cool.
Then
I do like the Stormseer. I'll probably play her a little bit. She looks
one of
really
my favorite
cool.
skins. I really play her like a lot in the playtest, etc. I really
Looks
enjoy
like
You
using
already
her.
played her?
Maybe a marathon?
I did a lot. So
It looks like a
awesome skin.
marathon.
And we have some
Maybe
more
like a
people that
slate.
we're not going to reveal yet what their role
And
is going
then
to
a
be.
Mako.
So you might also recognize some faces from the trailers.
I don't know what weapon
here,
he's
so
holding.
There's going to be
Some
more
lever
to
action?
unfold as the web of the Empress spreads.
Yeah, so the story sounds very interesting, but of course, one of the core points were the Bileweavers. So why don't we listen to them very quickly and see how they look?
Listen. Okay, and see. They sure do sound disgusting. Sure do sound like spiders.
The Bileweavers, then it's
I thought the audio broke for a second.
So this is our it's basically an 8-legged critter, very spider-like, but not spiders directly.
Spider-like. Okay.
And they're like a swarm enemy that we're having hatching from XX that you can like find around the world, and they're very overwhelming in numbers. So you definitely want to be careful around how many there are. Like those of you who sometimes feel a bit overwhelmed by water levels or by leeches next to meatheads, these things are really having an impact in numbers. So what they basically do is they protect their territory, their nests, and this is like the main location that we're gonna experience this event. So let's maybe talk a look about that.
So they are just in the 17th
let's take
compound?
a close look at the Bileweavers in the video, and of course you will see the nests and the eggs as well, right?
No, they're not. Okay, so they're just
so
around.
as you can see, like they kind of spawn from XX. You can find them
look at this.
not only
There's
in
like...
their main nest, but you can also find them
there's like spider webs around where they are.
They're more lethal in large numbers around the main nest, but still, like as you go around like towers, other locations.
Oh, look at them! They spread out like a flying squirrel.
The nest itself is like the star of the show here, obviously, with like lots of them in there. And like a very different experience as you go through. I really like how they kind of jump at you.
Single compact ammo shots, though, or
not creepy at all. And I really
especially when they swarm you like this, and then they also jump at you.
These are creepy. Them walking on the walls and jumping is terrifying.
Like the whole nest gives you like a very three-dimensional fight with them, like going between levels very quickly, and that makes it very, very interesting to move around. Now, that being said, you can also try to not alert the nest. Right, like you can just go in there, and maybe you're lucky, and you'll have a chance to actually go through and get your rewards out of there, get your loot without necessarily activating them. So the way these nests work is that they have a proximity detection. So if you are getting too close, they burst. If you fire your weapons, if you draw attention, they burst. So your equipment gives you some ways.
I wonder if silent weapons count for that.
And if you're fast, you can maybe spread the escalation of the nest this time around.
It's really awesome. So you
doesn't look like it because they shot it with a.
So why don't we talk about our new
what's it called?
17th
With a silent weapon, nothing popped out.
The Bileweaver nest.
Yeah, so the Bileweaver nest is, as you mentioned, like it's a 17th compound. So our maps have 16 compounds. When we talk about the Fool's Hideout, when we talked about the Murder Circus in previous events, these are our 17th compounds. Like this, an additional space that is going to between the existing spaces and random locations, and it's going to be the same thing here for the Bileweaver nest. You have basically a massive web-covered central location, central nest, multiple layers, and you will find it at very, very, very different places. For example, than you would find like the other ones, like the Fool's Hideout, etc. Because these nests can be built up three-dimensionally and don't need like the same footprint like some of the other locations. So you'll definitely encounter like the nests around like on top of cliffs. You turn like on top of the mountain, like near La Plata mine, for example. So there's chances for you to discover
new locations for the 17th compound. That's cool.
That's going to be very interesting because it kind of breaks up as you move through the world and discover them. We're going to tell you exactly where they were all across the maps, but every map has multiple locations, and it's going to be one part of the fun to discover them for yourself.
And of course, it's not just Bileweavers.
So are they not marked on the map?
You can find some treasure as well. So
yes.
What are those?
So we have some of the usual sealed rewards that you can find in there, like
sealed rewards coming back. I think we
the ammo
probably
supply,
knew that,
etc. So some of those, as you can see, like we're gonna reuse and bring back. But we also have a couple more things. So we have the Destiny style, which we're going to talk about in a second, and we also have the new scarce weapons that you can also find in there.
in the dev blog, so we kind of know what they are.
Take a look at the nests as well in action, and a close-up of them. Like,
Let's take a look
wow,
here.
creepy.
Yeah, I really like this. Like, so you can see, like, maybe some of you recognize
compound's
already what
cool.
locations the nests are built
I
around.
like
by
this
just
a
seeing them in the
lot.
trailer. I mean, you only kind of find the locations, but they look very, very differently. And sometimes, like, the good stuff is on the top floor. Sometimes the good stuff is on the lower floor. There might be different entrances, etc. So
This place is
they're
probably
kinda
going to be
mazy, but
crazy easy to
intentionally
trap,
so we want
though.
you to
Like once you
kinda,
do clear
like,
stuff
get
out,
lost a
because it
little
looks
bit
like
in
there's a
there
lot of
and,
stuff you can
have
like
it a bit
put,
creepy, but I'm pretty
like
sure
you
after
can
a few
stick
rounds, you'll
things
find
in the
your way around.
ground and like have the webs
So
and
yeah, we can
stuff
already
covered
see
up,
the
like trip
Destiny dial
mines,
here.
dark
So this
dynamites.
is basically a version of our fortune telling
Gambling
machine.
machine,
Talk a little bit
woo!
about it in a second.
And Nugabug, thank you for the 27
Amazing.
months. I
Yeah, so
appreciate
that's
it.
the Bileweaver nest. And let's talk about the event itself and
Yes.
how people interact with pledge marks and how.
Yeah, I guess the Destiny
So,
style is
it's
going to
a
be
return
like
of the pledge mark and the wager system. So like our previous events,
I just remember it's the
your
5-field
goal
machine
is
from
to
the
accumulate
Murder
event points.
Circus.
For
fortune teller
accumulating event
machine
points
that
in
just
the mission,
gave
you
you
also
stuff.
get every 25 event points a pledge mark on your hunter that you can use to
system,
spend it for
okay.
sealed rewards. That can be like cash, that can be like sealed traits, other cool things. So it's down to the player and down to you ultimately then what to spend them on. And like the whole thing is going to be focused around the 17th compound. This is the main place where you will be able to spend your points. Obviously, you can still do that at supply points in other areas, but this is the central location. And we also have a pretty cool new battle pass.
It's amazing, and it has
40
so
rewards.
many cool rewards. And we actually
that
have a
more-
video
that's
to
more than the
showcase
last
some
one.
of our favorites.
Ooh,
highlighting
uppercut
the new
precision
skin
Deadeye.
for the uppercut Deadeye. We have like a dynamite stick
Oh,
animation.
I
which is
like
pretty
that
cool, but,
animation.
so some of the stuff, like you can see sometimes it's a mix
Really
between,
pretty
like a new
conversion
skin, but also like an
pistol. Oh my
animation for like the
God.
spider on the grip's really nice. And then this is my
Oh
all-time
my
favorite, like,
God,
this
these
is
look
basically a little
beautiful.
spider
Oh, I
walk
love that
on the gun.
animation.
I like how he uses the,
Look at that.
the two fingers for like, the
That's
fangs.
so fun.
So pretty cool stuff. Like I really enjoy using.
They
some of
cooked
these
with this.
animations
This
a
is
little alongside,
great.
but
I
also
love
the
all of
skins are
this.
amazing as usual as well. So
Yeah, I mean the
good package.
whole theme, you know, the web, the Empress, it's so creepy,
Yeah.
and of course crawling on that Betterleys. Very
Love
fun.
that Betterly silencer
there's
skin. That's
obviously
so
more to explore. Let me just show
pretty.
you. There's a small selection, but the battle pass is full of awesome rewards. So
I'm
check it out.
excited for this battle pass now. These
yeah,
are
so,
great.
as Dennis
I
already
love that
mentioned,
little
we have the pledge
crawly
marks,
spider
the
hands
scarce
animation. That's
weapons
so cute.
We're gonna talk about in a bit. But
Yeah.
what's very important that these this time around stick around after the
yes,
event.
so going into the event, obviously you guys still go through a wipe, as you've already seen. Like we've now had a week without the event running. But moving forward, what we want to ensure is that as you go and experience an event, at the end of that event, like we don't necessarily take stuff away. So you have a
Okay.
chance, for example, to seamlessly use the pledge marks that you have on a particular hunter and the events as the event ends.
Okay,
and then
that's
just use
interesting
them
to see
right
what
away in
traits
the
they're
next event
bringing
after that
in.
one without having to go through. So persistency is something we are changing, and
I
like
also
the same
wonder-
for, like, for example, the scarce weapons we're going to talk about in a bit. These things will all carry over, and if you have a trait on a hunter, it will stay on the hunter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does that mean that the scarce weapons are going to become unscarce at the end of the event, or are they going to stay
You mentioned the
scarce?
wager system is back, but what is this
Yeah,
exactly?
so the Destiny Dial is basically a bit of an agnostic version of the fortune teller machine. So this is something that gives you randomized rewards. So you can use that. You can use your pledge marks and kind of like sync them into that machine, giving you something. So the fortune teller you might remember from the Murder Circus. This is basically our take on that as a more of a universal feature. So expect the Destiny Dial to show up in more locations in the future. And in general, like this is a feature we want to add to the game persistently. And now
Okay.
the first time you'll see it is woven into
We're getting
some of
gambling in the
Bileweaver nests.
game for
And it
real
looks
now. Woo!
really
Yeah,
freaking cool.
I like how the
Yeah.
machine like kind of does its little magic thing, tinkering thing there, like electricity going off. So it's
Yeah, it adds some
It's all fun.
high risk, high reward mechanics where you don't really know what's gonna come up. And as you mentioned,
So I wonder
it
what
can
you're going to
trade,
use then
the
for it
resourcing
if
kit.
it's if it's not
all
pledge
the pieces that you
marks.
can kind of find in
Like
that,
when the
in-
event
in
goes
that
away, because they
location.
said they want
So,
to keep this like persistently in
All
the
right, let's
game.
move on.
Let's move on, and that is one very
Okay,
favorite
new
topic of
scarce
Dennis's, of
weapons.
course, the new weapons, the new scarce weapon this time around. So we have two. Which one is the first one?
Yeah. So in general, like scarce weapons is a concept that we're exploring for this time around. You might remember the shredder from way back, which was an event exclusive.
These look a lot more
so only
tame than
during
the
event,
shredder,
only in the world.
from what we
which
saw in the
we have
blog
something
post. They
similar
look like
now where
slightly
we have a few
modified,
more
like a
weapons,
slightly modified
that
rival and
you can,
Centennial instead
just
of a
find only through exploration.
crazy
You can
saw blade
unlock those. You
launcher.
cannot get them through normal progression. And
Yep, so you
the
can
first
only
one
find
is
them in
the
the
Homestead
world.
78, and the 78 here might
Since they
already
are
be a bit of a
scarce.
giveaway because this is a part of the trusted rival 78 family, and we're talking about a long-barreled cousin of the rival 78. So it's going to be a more powerful version. It's almost like a double Romero technically. It's a very, very good
This is
gun,
gonna be fun
but
with slugs.
it's rare. You need to find it in the world, and you can't just buy it and equip it normally. So there's a certain amount of exploration now added to this, as you might want to take them out as trophies, for example. So extra punch, medium range, as you would expect from a longer barrel shotgun. It does the thing you would think it does.
Yeah, sounds really fun.
seems
to play
pretty
around with,
straightforward.
But there's also the other
I'm
one.
excited to play that
the
with
other one is the
slugs and
Wildland.
dragons.
Now this one doesn't have a
fun.
giveaway in the name, but this is based off the Centennial. So it's a modified Centennial. The one that we have in the game right now is based on a musket type version. I think it was originally used by the Canadian Mounted Police in the
Musket
configuration if you edited it back
Centennial.
then. Now the new one is more of a beefed up version of it. So it has a bit of a longer barrel, it has more ammunition underneath, like the magazine tube underneath is the full length, so holds a couple more rounds, and it does have a swift reload option as well. So it has all the advantages of having obviously more firepower in that case, and the fast reload also happens
It's
to
a
be
Swift
quite convenient,
variant.
I've
It's like an
noticed in
extended
playtesting.
tube
So this one
Swift.
is going to be pretty cool as well.
Centennial.
So if you like to
Sure.
play the Centennial, get your hands on the Wildland because it's just the better Centennial.
Yeah, and of course we have to highlight that these can only be found in the next.
Yeah, increased
Yes, so
damage
it's
too.
always
Okay.
high risk, but it
Wonder if
comes with
that's over
higher-
over
and
125.
you need like a couple of
Probably.
pledge marks to kind of like unlock the boxes they're stored inside. So it's down to your choice how you use your pledge marks. Yeah, it's just a couple
I
of
wonder if
like,
that thing
small,
can take
small
bleed
images on
then.
them.
Oh, that's gonna
they're exactly what
suck.
you would expect, right? Like one is a Centennial, a bit longer. They have like a different finish on them as well. It's a different.
Okay, I'm maybe
high
not
quality
too excited for the
wood, etc.
Centennial, if
So
that's
yeah,
the
definitely
case.
go check them out inside
We'll
the
see.
Bileweaver nests if you
We'll have
dare
to see how it
enter.
plays.
Yeah, and so with this we kind of recap the Bileweaver and Bileweaver nest related things like the Destiny Dial,
Yeah.
all the
Core mechanics
scarce
of the
weapons.
event. Yeah.
So let's talk about some gameplay changes that are not
Okay,
directly
here we
tied
go.
into
This is the
this.
things I'm most
Starting
excited
with
for.
Some weapon balancing.
Okay,
Please
let's
be
start with the
meaningful
small pieces,
balancing.
Just get some of it out of the way.
Give us some sweeping
so
changes.
in general, what we've been doing, and it's something that's
Okay, we love
continuation
melee
from
buffs.
some
We
of
saw that in the
previous
blog already,
update, like initiatives we had
Good
there.
change.
We continued improving the hit melee detection and the maximum range of melee weapons. So we do have a different system now that allows us to detect melee strikes. So no longer is it just like a single line that kind of cuts through and checks. It's a bigger, wider box. So overall, it should be more reliable to kind of do melee attacks
That's good.
against moving pieces.
Melee's kind of fallen to the
Where it's
wayside
tricky
with
is
how
obviously
strong.
if it's a small enemy, you might still need
with
to
how
be
strong
more precise
Quartermaster,
aiming down, etc. So
short
like the
shotguns
Bileweaver
are.
is definitely not going to be an easy takedown in melee, especially if they're very agile. But
Okay.
overall, you should see a lot of improvements about getting your hits connected in melee, like as you move through the world with your regular threats all the time.
Yeah, we will have swarms of small enemies to deal with this time.
Oh yeah, I heard.
But we also made some adjustments to the Mako and the
I'm
weapon
guessing
cycle.
Mako
Yes,
buffs
so
and Cyclone
two
nerf.
pieces here. So on the Mako,
Or they're just gonna
it's,
buff the Cyclone.
mostly
Yeah, I don't
about
know.
that the recoil has been reduced just a little bit, so the weapon is just easier to control. So there's a long ammo weapon, so it kicks like a mule, like all long ammo weapons do, but in comparison to the other
Okay.
ones, it's just a little bit tamer. And also, we have looked at some of the firing interactions, the sequence, etc. They feel sometimes a bit more responsive. What we noticed, there were a couple of issues in there that made the weapon feel a bit more clunky or hard to control. It had like some small delays in there. So we cleaned that one up. It should just be
Okay.
overall a bit more responsive and be on par with the other rifles. So it's more of a valid choice rather than something you
Yeah,
avoid.
the
because
Mako's always
maybe
kind of
you're
been like
veteran
a
player and you know exactly
personal
about its
preference. It
drawbacks
really
and-
doesn't
and
have
therefore the weapon
much
isn't
over
for
the
you.
other long ammo
And on
rifles.
the Cyclone, we walked back
That's
some
good.
of the improvements we did to making the reloads faster, so they're slower again.
Okay.
We looked at
Sure,
the
I'll
balance,
take
and the
some
weapon is still
Cyclone
very, very
nerfs.
powerful. So at least we want to make sure that, like, if you have to go through the reload, it matters more, and other people have a chance to kind of use that point in time to actually like maybe push you, etc. So there's a bit of a
Yeah,
drawback.
okay,
It still
that's
is a very
fair. You have to
powerful
be- you
weapon,
can't
and,
spam it as much.
As long
You
as
have
you
to be
keep that
more
one round
considerate.
chambered and then reload, it's always going to be faster than reloading from empty.
Well, that sounds amazing. But other than these, we also have some.
The Cyclone's a bit of a
quality
monster
life
since the
life
last
changes.
update.
Oh, yeah.
So
Let's talk about the brand new auto select setting.
So auto select is something that as we were experimenting
Also,
and,
is
and
that
playing
all we get for
around with,
weapon
the
balancing?
improvements to traps in the last
That's
update,
it?
like being able to store them back into your inventory. one of the things we noticed, like it was kind of inconvenient that they were always just like added in the back, but you wouldn't really have them in your hands. So the moment, for example, you wanted to just like relocate the trap, like move it around a little bit, etc., you just had to select it in your inventory again, etc. Not the end of the world, but it felt a bit inconvenient. So that got us thinking about a general improvement, which is an auto select feature. Now this is on by default at the moment now, and it will basically mean that whatever you are picking up, like a fire bottle, or maybe retrieving your spear, you put it in the player's hands again right away, and then you store from there.
Sure.
So you do have some control about that. I'm going to see that in a second with the options menu entry, but the important piece is there's also a way to disable the whole thing. So if you don't like that, if it's not for you, you can totally disable that in the options. You can even be very granular here, disabling it between
I'll probably turn
tools
this
and
off,
consumables.
but good change.
And this gives you all the flexibility.
For the people
just
who
by
want
default,
that.
it's on, and actually it feels pretty nice. Like picking something up, it adds a little bit more physical value to whatever you're interacting with. As you kind of lift it up from the ground, you pick it up, you have it in your hands. And again, like also for the traps, it helps you to kind of like pick it up, and then you have it in your hands, maybe to place it again right away.
Disabled immediately.
Depending what
if you
prefer,
like it,
you can use
I
that
don't see
feature.
why.
I think it's a nice quality of life
I don't
change.
know. I'm probably going to disable most of it, but weapon, I can see it for weapons being
but
cool.
yeah, we have to highlight that it's also not on by default. You already mentioned that. It is on by default.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, you have the legacy option to turn it off if you don't like the
Super important. Like
Sure.
you don't need to use it, but it's
good
there by
addition
default. So
for
if
those
it's
who
weird,
want it.
check out the options, and you can disable it there.
And yeah, it's not working on everything. So for example, it's not selected when you're looting toolboxes or from hunters or beetles.
Whenever you pick up a physical piece in the world, is basically the rule of thumb here.
Yeah,
So like the beetle spawns, obviously, they are like you're gonna grab it out of there.
Okay, but are we getting more weapon balancing?
You get something like exactly like that.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really cool quality of life feature, but we do have more of those.
Okay, trait change. I don't think we're getting any more weapon balancing.
Yeah, quality of life is, I think, a good headline for many of the changes we're talking about today. Like
trait changes, though, could be an interesting.
And making things a
I'm
bit
hoping
easier.
for some quartermaster changes.
So the first one we're going to talk about in this case is Bileweaver, and you might already be thinking, "What I know what this is about," and you might be totally right. So Bileweaver is becoming a default ability. However, we're not going to get rid of Bileweaver. Talk about that in a second.
Okay.
In a nutshell,
what does it do then?
That you can now retrieve your,
what does it do?
Your thrown projectiles, your bow, arrows, your bolts, etc. Within 25 meters, you will see them just going into dark side, which normally would have been what Bileweaver would have given you. But instead, what Bileweaver does now is it extends the range up to 75 meters. So, for example, if you play more like the long range, like bow and crossbow bolts, etc., this might still be useful for you, but it's up to you. At least by default now are not required.
So we
to have
just
this trait
by
anymore.
default
have
Bileweaver now.
range.
Interesting.
And it feels very convenient, just like picking up throwing axes, knives, etc. It feels appropriate for the interference that normally retrieving ammunition has for you.
So you mentioned throwing knives. Let's talk about throwing other things. So we did make some changes to assailant as well.
Yes.
Okay.
For the veterans among you, you might remember that we've
to be honest, I think this makes
Bileweaver
like even more useless.
And we merged that one with assailant at one point as we generally tried to reduce the amount of traits we had. And now we're doing this the other way around because we're actually removing it again from assailant. However, not into a new trait or to another trait. We're actually giving you that as a default feature as well. So you will now be able to just pick up any axe,
animations
hammer, shovel,
for like throwing axes
whatever you
and throwing
find
knives,
in the world,
though?
and be able to throw that.
About that part.
What we hope from that is that first off, you can finally do the achievement.
Oh my god, I still don't have that achievement, so it's time.
But also, you might not rely as much anymore on throwable tools as a requirement, because if you look around, you might find a hammer to maybe get that hive off that roof.
But what about the animations and the extra damage?
Throw something against like some dock handle, etc. It just gives you more options here to kind of like.
I really like the underhanded swing
into your normal path as you walk around the world.
On like the throwing axes.
Again, it's there as an option. It's a small thing. However, at the same time, we also did some changes to the damage and ensured that when you throw these weapons, they actually do adequate damage and kill AI properly, etc. As you would expect. I mean, as you know, like even a throwing axe tool like that one kills an armored in one good placed hit to the chest. So it's of course important that then the big cousin, the World Hammer, will have the same option as well, and it's reliable to kill stuff.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. But we also have one more trait that we changed.
Yes.
Witness.
Okay, I guess I'll have to see. I'm nervous about that one, to be honest. That might turn me off of throwing axes forever.
Removing the healing ability from Witness, which we felt like is kind of redundant. Initially we put that in as something to beef up Witness as it was an event trait. since it
No
is
more
just become part of
healing.
regular rotation.
It's
It
fine,
felt
I
kind of like
guess.
overlapping a bit too much with, for example, like a ghoul and other health-giving traits.
Okay,
So
yeah,
it still
that's
is all
fair.
about finding corpses, and I think that excels at that. We make it a
Reducing
bit
the
cheaper
cost
from
if
5
you're
to 4
removing
points,
something, fair
but the
enough. Even if
healing
it was a
option
pretty
goes
niche
away,
thing.
and players should now be able to focus on what this trait does primarily, which is like finding and confirming, for example, that players whether they wipe the team or maybe even taking on the scent of a team moving through the world as you see the leftover pieces from the guys they killed. So yeah, focus.
That's awesome.
Sure.
I think these
Yeah,
changes will
like
be
I know
welcomed
some
by
people
the
who definitely
community
did use
to
the healing
streamline
quite a
some things.
bit.
But let's talk about some loot changes that we have added in this
Oh, no
update.
quartermaster changes.
So in this case, I think it's probably like
Please.
the biggest one of this one at the moment. Custom ammo spawn changes. What this means is that
Okay.
the weapons that you find in the world now have a chance to actually spawn directly with some custom ammo linked to it. Not always. and
Okay,
they're
that's
random
kinda
which ones,
cool.
you'll find, but there could be a good chance that you find a sniper weapon and then that already has high velocity or even Spitzer ammunition attached to it.
Oh
Could be.
god.
Or you find something with
Finding a
Bileweaver
Spitzer
ammunition. So in
sniper just
general,
in the
like maybe if you
world.
see those weapons lying around in the world, pay close attention now because they might contain some really cool ammunition types.
Okay,
Maybe
that's
some of them
fine.
even
That might
scarce,
encourage
you know?
people to pick
And
up new
therefore you have a
weapons and try
chance
them.
to like kind of get your hands on instances of those.
Yeah, and it makes adds some decision making in the moment. Like if you see
Exactly.
some poison ammo, you may take it to a
Yeah.
boss that is weak to poison. So that would make it very nice. But
Yes.
we also rebalance some of the consumable looting.
So
Okay.
maybe as a preface to that,
Maybe
so what
putting
we
flash
started
bombs
with
back in
as we rolled out
rotation?
things like the toolbox years in the past,
Nitro
we
Shredder
usually
World's
were
fun?
very cautious
Oh, yeah,
about
that might
giving
be
the
a
player
thing.
options to get more defensive tools because back then, like,
I
there
doubt
was a
that would be
problem, like, people
very
were kind
common,
of entrenching
but-
in the layers a bit too much, and then they had chance to get like even more instances of concertina bombs, etc. We deemed it back then to be a problem for the game flow and adding to stagnation. We've, I think, for some time now moved on from that. So, like, we've introduced the saddlebags. We've also had some of these consumables now spawn in the world on their own. Like I think all of you remember being up in the tower and seeing a concertina bomb there. As such, like that restriction no longer made any sense, and we instead went in and said, like, you know what, let's just reshuffle and expand these pools a little bit, so you can find some things in the tool and in general, like saddlebags and other mechanics that you maybe not have come across before, maybe including even like a recovery shot.
That sounds great. And there's one more thing that we're experimenting with currently in this update is some changes to the beetle spawn.
Yeah, so this is something that we're kind of reacting
Oh.
a little bit to community feedback on this, but we're not yet ourselves 100% sure if this is something we want to keep like
Okay.
that moving forward. And the main point here is that
This one
even though
feels
beetles
weird,
still
to
have
be
a very
honest.
low usage across the board, we want to ensure that like the ones you find in the world are the ones that allow you like to, for example, help your teammates. Like
This
not
feels
be
like a
set on
very
fire anymore,
artificial way
rather
to
than being
increase the
offensive
pick rate of
ones all the
choke
time. So if you want to
beetles.
bring a stalker and a fire beetle, you have to equip it at the beginning of the rounds because we will now only be able to
I
find
do agree
choke
that like
beetles
stalker beetles
from
and
the
fire
beetle
beetles
spawns,
are
the
like
little
much
beetle
stronger
nests,
than the choke
in the
beetle,
world.
but
Still a good place to run to whenever your teammate is burning and you might get to him or just have him and take him along the way. However, the offensive beetles are now restricted to you bring them into the match. Again, we
Yeah.
might walk this back in the
Okay.
next
No,
update. We're trying
I
it
can
out
understand
now.
that.
Definitely give us
That's
your
fine.
feedback on this, whether you prefer that.
Yeah,
or if you
finding
would
fire
like to have the
beetles and
old flexibility
instantly burning
back.
a bar off
So,
of someone was
it's-
kind of
see it as an
annoying.
experiment.
Yeah, so we covered a lot of things you can find in the world that you can loot. But so we have a brand new addition to the game, the powder
Okay.
keg.
Oh
So we
yeah,
did see this in the
now
trailer.
it's gonna get explosive. So the powder keg is a new world item that we're adding to the world. You can find that scattered throughout our compound,
boy.
etc., like with lanterns and other pieces.
Deployable
And it
red
is a deployable
barrel.
item,
Okay.
only found in the mission, so you can't bring powder kegs from the outside. Why would you? But inside, you might have already walked around like, oh, how awesome would it be if I could just like the big red barrel and put it in my pocket. Obviously, that
Okay,
never was
put it-
possible. However, now you have the smaller cousin, the powder keg, and you can actually move that around and place it around, use it for
Oh, this
traps.
is
you
gonna
can
be-
use
this
it
is gonna be
like,
interesting.
Kinda like, spike up maybe a room that you want
I
to
like
throw a firebomb
this.
in later.
Okay, this is
So
cool.
it's gonna
Smaller
give you more
red barrel,
tactical
but
options and just,
still a
you know,
red
just
barrel.
enriches the sandbox in general. So it is in all effect like a red
Oh, they
barrel,
are
but it has
tiny.
a smaller
Okay.
effect. So for like an alert trip combination, it's still enough because
That-
the
that's
radius
really
is
cool. I
still
like that.
enough,
That will make
to
like
kill a
alert
player
trip
nearby, as
mines.
you'll see in the video
We
there.
will see alert trip
However,
mines
it doesn't
go
have the
up
same
like
range and the same
crazy.
propagation outside. So
What
it
is
wears
this
off much
trap
faster in terms
placement?
of damage. But they can do some really interesting things with alert trip mines, of course. and gives you all the
No,
flexibility.
I like
now,
this. This is
the important
cool.
piece here
This
is
is
that
pretty
as you
neat.
see them in the world, like they react to damage. So
Yeah,
just
it does
just,
kind
like,
of get
shooting
rid of dark
wildly,
dynamite
blowing
usage.
things up
That's
left and right,
true.
you might
It
create chain
might,
reactions
but
much easier now, where maybe like there was one of those particle kegs also in range and also blows up, and then disaster strikes.
systematically. Oh,
Yeah, so you mentioned
Okay.
it's like the physicality of it in the world, and
Yeah,
can
yeah.
actually roll around even on the floor.
Yeah, so if I carry it around and I just drop it, it has like the lanterns on it, has physics attached to it. So if it rolls around, well, there is one thing that could happen. Like the moment it rolls into fire, it blows up systemically. So you
Okay,
can also
that's
try
cool.
around,
I like
obviously, with
that.
these type of things. But for the most part, you deploy it, and then if it takes damage, it will just do the barrel thing as you would expect. Now that power, like that
yeah, I
plays
think
into another
comboing them
piece
with
here,
dark
which is the
dynamite will probably
lanterns.
be the most
So for the
effective way to
lanterns
use
as well,
them.
we have done the same damage receiver. So if a lantern is just in the world, for example, in the little red boxes, or just standing on the table somewhere, like the ones that you can pick up, and you were to hit it with a incendiary damage, it would react exactly like the static lanterns does. So now you can actually blow up lanterns. If they're since they're turned off, as if you don't have in your hands, right? Like, so they follow the same rules as a deactivated static lantern. So if you just do damage to them, nothing really happens in this case. We don't have a destruction effect for them. However, the moment they receive fire damage, like incendiary ammunition, or you throw another lantern at them or whatever, that's when they react, and then they kind of burst in flames. So again, you can also use them for chain reactions, and maybe that's also interesting to play around with setting up traps with a powder keg and a lantern next to it, and then just
you could set up like some
incendiary
fire
ammunition.
traps
Yeah,
with alert
honestly, I
trip
cannot
mines
wait
and
to see
lanterns
the
now.
chaos
That's
that creators
cool.
always come up with very creatively. with the
Okay,
new
no, I
tools
like
they
this.
have,
This is a good
there.
change.
But let's talk about another cool topic. that we are making some
NPC.
big
Oh, I guess
changes
this is
to,
going to be for the
NPCs
bots.
and,
They did say
AI.
there were bot changes coming.
NPCs, I mean, of course, we talked about the Bileweavers. I mean, that's really like the star here when it comes to any NPC and AI changes for this update. But we're doing some housekeeping alongside. So, for example, we have the grunts that we have been reworking a little bit alongside. It sounds maybe a bit bigger than it is, but this is a very important step for us. It kind of happens under the hood, where the rework of the grunts means we have more flexibility moving forward to do changes, to build new stuff potentially based on them. And it gives us just like a couple of little side effects that you will actually perceive. For example, the improved spawning. So in the past, AI would pop in very aggressively right in front of you sometimes, right, depending on the server and distance and where they would then designate it to spawn. Now we have an improvement there where the grunts, if they spawn in, they actually spawn in a prone position, and then they actually stand up and walk around from there. So you'll see a much more natural way of introducing these enemies and less popping with the grunts.
So I guess we'll see less of those instances where grunts pop in
we
and
also
then
had
just
some
like
improvements to
stand up for a second and flop on the ground, which they're supposed to be laying
but it's
down.
probably mostly on the hood. The most player-facing, most visible change here is that they actually move slow in water now, which they never really were impacted by. So you as a player were bogged down by like the water.
Does that mean it works for like all AI then?
Now they're affected by the same rules, which means you can actually lose
grunts?
some of those as you walk through water, and then turn around and shoot them as they still try to catch up. So you do have more options there.
Again, it's mostly under the premise of like housekeeping,
or not.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
it sets us up for some really
interesting.
cool things also in the future.
Yeah, and alongside the grunts, the hunter bots also seen some improvements. It's very important to mention that
are we gonna have to go back and do another bot video?
Until rank 11, so it will only affect those, but they have a lot of things.
Yeah, so the
okay,
bots,
I think we have to go back and do some more bot
like
watching then.
We call it like the first time user experience, the onboarding, like getting a new player, understanding the game, and I think they've been doing a very good job for that purpose, but it's also what we designed them for. They're not meant to be
bots
an
are pretty
opponent that you
stupid,
fight
let's
as a
be real.
experienced or veteran player. However, there was still even then some shortcomings where sometimes they would just not even survive fighting against some of the AIs on the way. So even a new player might
die to
sometimes
water
just not really come
devils
across
or
them that
hellhounds.
often because they might have just died shortly before reaching the players. And doing some improvements around how their combat behavior works exactly, etc., has been some of the pieces. So don't expect them to use major tactics now, but they should at least be able to do the job, the role that they're built for, which is like give players a good time when they start a game, but also introduce them to the concept that maybe some enemies are actually shooting back.
And you did mention that it's kind of a housekeeping update as well. So we did make some tunings to other areas as well, like the armor and some of the bosses as well.
Exactly.
We'll see it in the patch notes.
Brutes,
Sure.
for example.
Yeah.
So you can expect some smaller changes.
Yeah, just
Water Devil fix. Yeah, Water Devil fix is kind of needed. They're really annoying right now.
Here today for our stream, but like you will be able to just follow up on all of those in the patch notes and kind of see what exactly changed. But like these are the highlights so far from what we talked about.
Sure. I am excited to go see how much better the bots are then.
Regarding our user
UI changes.
Yes, seeing some awesome improvements.
There's some
We still
really
haven't
good
seen
stuff
anything
coming
about
in.
the tarot cards. I'm just realizing. So,
but let's first look at the lobby improvements.
This is how you get Ben excited. So yeah, the lobby improvements. So this is something we've hinted at early in the year already, and it's a major step forward for our lobby, because what we're doing now, we are unifying the different lobby rooms that we've had previously into a centralized lobby for all game modes. Now, of course, you might only be able to select a game mode like Soul Survivor if you don't have any friends in the lobby, because it's only available for solo players. But you can navigate seamlessly through all of these. So you can, for example, take a round with your friends on the shooting range. You don't need to do a separate invite anymore. All that stuff goes away.
That's
and
nice.
you can kind
I
of
like
easily
that.
transition between different
trying to go to the
lobbies that
shooting
we had in the
range
past, as it's all
and having
in
to
one
reinvite
place.
everyone was very
streamlined
annoying.
navigation has been the key here for us, and overall, like the whole thing feels so much nicer and. Going to see that in a moment, but like the streamlined navigation really, I think, comes to play quite a lot here. So as
this background.
Have a look here, we see the top navigation has changed. We now have the play button, and the play button
it shows
is
a
the
bounty
lobby.
bonus too for how much you're getting.
You can click on your game mode on the left side, and then you can select it there, or you can just use the little arrows
I like
from
this.
the lobby.
This is a good change.
Through them. So very easy for you to kind of like go through the different modes.
That's a very good change.
All the configuration you need for each mode you will find directly there in that location. So whether you play against like duos, trios, etc.
Yeah, this is really nice.
And we've also used that, as you might see in the top, there's a career tab now. We removed the home tab, which used to have all of the stuff together. Now we have the lobby under play, and we have career, which basically bundles all of the progression screens that we had before, about to kind of see like how your bloodline progression is, your prestiges, and all the other things that you have in there.
Okay, exactly.
No, I really like that.
That's
a very good change.
Tab added on the top, but we have some other changes made to the green gear screen.
To green screen.
The green
screen gears. It's not a green screen, by the way. It's actually
a green screen.
Yeah, this is knock on wood, man. Here.
Yeah.
All right. So the gear screen improvements are a pretty cool quality of life change as well, because you now be able to see the traits in the equipment screen for the gear as well. So what that means is you don't need to memorize. Oh, did I have like fanning, levering? It's all there as a quick preview on the left side where all your equipment are, and you can kind of match it up. You can even modify them directly in the same screen, so you don't need to jump out and go to the trade menu necessarily. It's all unified. It's much nicer to use.
Okay, so I can't really visualize what they're talking about, to be honest. I hope they show us here.
Shortcut where players can now clear all
so yeah, it just shows that you don't have to actually select the hunter, it looks like.
Trade screen first,
I see what they mean here.
It's basically all in one place, and like adjusts from there.
That's nice. I like that. This is a good one.
Play with it. It's really cool.
Okay, no, I like this. This is a really good. This is a really good change.
Really nice. Yeah, and I was very hyped.
Streamlined.
Yeah. But there was
Wonderful.
Which of these items was it then, Ben? What's another one?
Yeah, I think there may be another slide. I think. And wait for it. It was actually one of the biggest player requests for a long time.
Oh, okay, sure.
Now you are
what did they just show at the bottom?
Oh
my God, Gabby is
so
happy.
How this plays out is that if you already have a friend invited, you now have the option to just say like,
no,
hey,
that's good.
Like
that's something people have been asking for a super long time.
Solo players looking for a team, a trio team at the moment, and pairs you up. So for a solo looking for a team, that means you will either find random trios as before, or you might be joining a duo looking
that's
for
a
a
good question.
random
I'm not sure.
So in general, it just increases the options and makes it much nicer for people to kind of like find a third teammate. Maybe if only one friend is online, you can still play those trio games in full power, and maybe even make some new friends. So definitely something you guys have been requesting for a very long time.
That's a really good addition.
2 years ago almost, so it's finally in the game. So really good stuff.
Yeah, and let's take a quick look at it as well. How it looks.
I won't ever personally use this, but
find this setting in the menu.
That's great. That's really nice.
So yeah, like you basically, in this case, you have a duo here. You're in front is your best friend.
I like
this. If you now
I have friends everywhere at Legendary Hunter. I like their names.
Actually, on the left side, you see. Actually, can I wait for you? Closest. On the left side, you see like if you now select the trio, and then it matchmakes and tries to find you a random third player that is also looking
So does
for
this mean you
moment.
can't? I'm assuming you can still do duos versus
trios.
trios,
I'm happy
but
to have this because I know that this question always came up during streams.
Hunt profile 1978.
Yeah. So definitely tell us what you think, and also like tell us your stories about your new friends.
Oh yeah, my team versus opposing team. So yeah, you can still select, do registries and whatnot.
Yes, there's another big point we want to touch on.
Okay,
which is about the rarity
sure.
system.
Yeah, the rarity
so
system felt very pointless.
You didn't want like having so many different colors in the rarities, so we're walking back that system, or let's say the most of that system. So the aim is here obviously to remove some of the visual noise, like the different outlines and frames and all that stuff that kind of like these sometimes not really easy to read rarities. Like the idea from our side was to give you a very good overview about like how to rate and how to place a certain skin, also like use that consistently,
yeah,
for example, from a pricing perspective.
Dennis, I'm sorry, but no one cared about that.
It wasn't really there. We never really had the consistency in that we were hoping for. So in this case, we kind of made the decision to walk that back. And what we have now is two things remaining.
Okay.
So everything is either a legendary, which is the gross majority of all of the cosmetic pieces we have, or it's mythic. And mythic,
So
as you
mythic's
know,
probably battle pass
denotes
only?
A piece that doesn't come back afterwards.
Okay.
It's an event exclusive.
Fair enough.
So it's important to keep that distinction.
Having that distinction is good.
But uncommon, common, rare, all of those tags have been removed.
Good,
and the whole
good
menu obviously
changes.
looks a bit cleaner and much nicer again when it comes to
Yeah,
understanding.
that'll get rid of a
legendary
lot of the
works.
visual clutter from
So,
the Hunter
yeah,
tab.
Rarity is obviously something we did at the same time.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the mythics still remain, and that just denotes the skins that will never come back to the game.
Yep.
But now the legendaries are back as you were used to them before, basically.
Okay.
All right, Dennis. I think we went through a lot of things, but is there?
I don't think that was everything.
I think we should maybe consult the tarot if there's anything. I forgot.
Oh, okay. Do we have any?
They were setting that up so hard.
We have, like a few tarot cards, and maybe it's
look
actually
at the
not just a
art
few,
on
maybe
these.
Oh my
It's
God, that's
so
quite
pretty.
some, and maybe even you could argue maybe it's even a lot of them.
Look at those.
So yeah, let's maybe talk about what the tarot card system is all about.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
but
they're
first of all, they
so
look
pretty. I hope
amazing.
these are
I love
merch.
them. I love them. So
I
this,
hope
this
these are
is basically
merch.
your favorite trade art style, but now in color.
Is in
so
color.
Really amazing work as
It's
usual.
so
and,
pretty.
like these cards, we look at them individually in a second, a bit bigger on screen as well. But like,
yeah, as you mentioned, so
Oh, those are
What are the
so
tarot cards?
good.
yeah, so the tarot cards are a
It depicts
single-use
suffering
consumable.
so well. Wow.
That means they apply all the rules for like the same thing as a dynamite bundle or like a vitality shot or whatever you bring. So you want to
Okay.
make a choice
So
there whether you
single-use
want to bring them
consumables.
into a mission or also if you find them in the worlds, like if you have the space to actually take them and use
12
them.
new cards. We saw, I think,
we
5
have a
in
total
the dev
of
log.
12 of these cards. Each of them have their own unique gameplay effects. The idea is that while they give you new ways to play, right, new gameplay options, they're not overpowered. They fit in very nicely and just give you tactical
Okay.
options without being like oppressively powerful. The idea is not
Well,
that
we'll
tarot
see
cards should
how
dominate
well
the game,
that
but
holds
they
up,
kind of
but
change some of the nuances.
good to know they're
in a
not
very nice
purposely
way.
made overpowered.
And we're gonna look a little bit in a moment about what they do. But in general, where do you find them? So you can find them in the world. We'll talk about in a second what that means. However, you can also get them via Dark Tribute. So this is very interesting because by just
I'm
playing
assuming
over
you
an
can't
evening
buy them
and
then?
several rounds, like every step in Dark Tribute gives
Which I
you
kinda-
a
I
card,
kinda
and in the first
like,
step gives you
but-
2 cards. So you will have an ample opportunity, even if you're unlucky during the match to find them, to still get your hands on a number of those. They're
Okay,
kinda
so yeah, it
rare,
does
they're
seem
kinda
like you have
precious,
to find
but
them,
they're
which I
not,
like.
spammable in a way, unless you
That means
really
if one of
take a
them's
long time to
meta,
collect a
it
lot of
can't
them,
just
and
be
you can obviously use
auto-equipped on
much of
every
them
single
together.
loadout. You have to find
But
them to work for them.
they give you like a really like a choice of, is it now the right moment to bring it? And I think that makes them very, very interesting. When we talk about where to find them in the world, we have 3 inside the Bileweaver nest. So
Okay,
it's another
that's
reason
a
to
heavy
go into this awesome,
incentivization
nice
of the
place
Bileweaver
full of,
nest,
like horrible
among other
critters.
things.
So enjoy. And also you can find them randomly outside. However, also still thematically linked to the Bileweavers. So we have these smaller locations outside. We talked about this earlier when we discussed the Bileweaver nest. And what you can do there is, if you encounter one of those XX around maybe a tower or some other built-up small area, look around. There might be a tarot card somewhere attached to a wall nearby.
So
They're kind of
it's
stuck in a wall.
mainly
with a little
tied to
feather
Bileweavers, it sounds like.
give you like another chance to get them. They're kind of random outside, but there are 3 of them are guaranteed inside the Bileweaver nest. So first come, first serve. Make sure that you are not the last one to go there, because Bileweavers, I think we didn't mention it before. Bileweaver nests respawn. So even if you take a moment, like to be the last one
Yeah, that'll
there,
be a
if
really
other
nice
people
like
have gone away from the
anti-camping mechanic
from
then. I like
the
that.
nest, And like with other compounds, we can at one point remove the AI, and then only when you get back, we can re-add it again. In this case, if that happens, the Bileweaver, like the XX, the small little cocoons, they will actually repopulate. So they're little.
I like the Bileweavers.
They can rebuild their nests very quickly. So you will always come across these Bileweavers there. It's an infestation after all. So it's no guarantee that you have an easy time just because you wait for someone else to do the work for you before.
I suppose.
But we have to talk about Bounty Clash as well, where people can still find them.
Yeah, so in Bounty Clash as well, like in the central location where we have like the restoration kit, some of the other pieces, you also find like cards there. So
I don't play Bounty Clash, so this doesn't really mean much to me.
In the center of a Bounty Clash game.
That's great.
Okay,
And,
but you can find them in Bounty Clash. Good to know.
In the world. So how about we talk about the cards themselves?
Yes. What a segue. All right, so let's start easy with some of the more basic cards. So the world is basically, it is your portable.
This is the Master Clue one, right? Yes, okay.
So it does exactly what the Master Clue does, which means it reveals all boss targets. Just basically ticks all the clues for you, and then you know exactly where the one or the two targets are. It's a very standard card, very basic card. Obviously interesting if you have it on you
Still
from the last round, for example,
because
you can play it right at the beginning of a match, can burn card in your hand, and
that'd be really nice if you have a very trap-heavy strategy or something like that that requires you to heavily incentivizes you to play at the boss layer. That'll be really nice. I like that a lot.
Maybe have a good chance of being the first one around, know where the bosses are, from which direction the enemies might approach the nest, because you know where the bosses are. They might go there after the banish. That type of stuff, right? Like, so it gives you the tactical depth. You don't have to go to the center anymore, where there would also be a Master Clue inside the nest, but this one is the portable version and a nice starting card. Nothing too fancy, but also still quite meaningful.
Yeah, very useful.
So let's talk about one of the other more basic.
I think Benzay's microphone died.
The moon.
The moon. So the moon is interesting because it gives you 2 seconds of dark side boost.
Oh, okay.
So again, also rather straightforward. If you have a chance to get the moon. And
I wonder if that will show up as a burn mark on the map then.
Precious, right? It's not going to be have like 5 of those running around. Everybody has always dark side boost. That's not the case. So it comes down to you having the card and then playing it at the right time. When I say the right time, the important consideration here is that the moon, obviously, when you get dark side boost, leaves the little scorch mark on the map as well. So if you, for example, were to play this card right at the beginning of a round, well, congratulations, you've just given away your spawn location.
That's really funny.
It comes down to finding the right moment to sometimes use
I like that
cards.
they do have downsides, though.
In this case, the drawback is that, well, you're kind of marked on the map when you use it, so you want to be careful when to do it.
I feel like that's kind of something we've been missing with like hunt consumables and traits and whatnot.
And in general, like, we're going to keep some of those technical things out of the scope of this meeting here, because like we could potentially talk about this for hours. But we want you guys to discover this as well. So we're going to hint at some of the tactical uses for these cards, but in general, we want you to discover that and have the community kind of find out what's the best way of combining and using these cards in what situations.
So let's talk about a card that ties us back to Garden of the Witch a bit.
Yes. Also a rather straightforward card. This one fully heals you and also your teammates, and clears out any like status effects like bleeding, burning, poison, etc.
Is this like a restoration,
so this is one of the cards we've also hinted at
fully
already
heals
with a little
up
teaser
to
a while back,
your max health?
where people have been speculating quite heavily about what it actually does, what's the reason here. And the Burning Hunter obviously was the giveaway. Like, so you play the card, your friend also stops burning. So this is basically a super vitality shot that affects the entire team.
Okay, so it's not a recovery shot,
but again, also a precious
nice.
card. You want to use it in the right moment.
Yeah, and since I mentioned one event, let's mention the other one. So let's talk about the Fool.
Yeah, the Fool. That's an interesting one, because this is the one card that goes really into like traditional card game territory. Because what this one does is it actually clones the card that you used last.
Oh yes, we saw this one already. So yeah, mirrors your last card, which is kind of cool.
There we go. So this one actually copies the last card, yes, and that means depending on what the last card is you played this round, you do now have more or less value of it. Like, you can, of course, clone the world with it, right? And
yeah,
you could use the world next round, but probably use the
you
last
could
one
also
before,
clone,
so
like,
no
you know, the moon,
or
and just get 4 seconds of dark sight if you have this, which is kind of neat, that you could just
it's up to you.
4
you
seconds of dark sight instantly.
When you use this card transforms into whatever the last card was you used.
That's kind of neat.
It's down to you to decide what is the one you want to kill.
Sorry, I'm stretching.
Sounds great. And the next one is something that is very strong, but also comes with some drawbacks. So the tower.
So the tower is pretty nice because this is like a PvE
set yourself on
have
fire.
a very strong effect on the PvP side, of course. So I'm going to tell you
65 meter radius. That's a huge
radius. All of the basic monsters, even like meatheads within 65-meter radius.
Even
so you can use it also
oh my
quickly
god!
For farming, for example. But also
this would be probably nice for the Bileweaver nest, actually,
because all of the AI also burn down, right? Like it's a fire effect; they all kind of like die from.
Imagine just rolling up to the Bileweaver nest and just
not your teammates, just you as
gone, and then you can just walk in like all normal, all willy nilly.
It's usually not a big problem. You just put yourself out, but you might have a bit of charcoal on your health now for a moment.
That's nice. I like that. There's some. I can see some uses for this.
Maybe pushing that box or whatever.
Alright, and for the tricksters, here comes a very tricky one, the magician.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting for all the solo players out there, but it does have some benefits being part of a team as well. The magician is basically placing a dark side decoy at your current location. So what that means is that whoever has dark side boost will see that location as if there was another player. Now you can use it for all sorts of shenanigans.
That's interesting.
About, like, masquerading where you really are. In this case, like someone placed it at the extract, so someone is very carefully approaching.
So do you not show up in dark side for a little bit
or
then?
have to drop on them, etc. Physically, this is also something that you can see in the world, so people can kind of spot the masquerade and the trickery here. But you need to get close maybe sometimes to reveal this one. What it does is it starts bleeding on you, so you don't want to use that like maybe mid-combat, etc. It has a bit of a drawback to it.
It looks like it might mask you from dark sight, although they could have just not been looking at this person.
Forever. So you can also place this in the beginning of a round at an extract, and then do all sorts of things if you expect that's the one people will go to on the way out.
That's really cool. I just hope that it doesn't shield you from dark sight. I feel like that might be a little bit strong.
Let's look at the devil next.
Yes, the devil card is very interesting because that one is a combat related one. So if you guys remember Crack Shot from this goes into similar territory. Which means that we have sway and spread of weapons being reduced. Obviously, it's just like shotguns, so you don't really have the spread being affected by it. But it comes at a price. So, like, your weapons become a little bit more precise.
Are we going to see the return of the fucking Crack Shot Nitro Cheese Cannon?
But again, you know from Crack Shot maybe the power level you can expect.
It does destroy a health chunk.
However, if you have it, whenever you get downed, you will actually lose not 1 but 2 health chunks. So it has double the.
It's not Crack Shot for a match. It's Crack Shot until you go down.
Mindful, like
make that distinction clear.
But claims it's due, and you.
I hope they've tweaked certain weapons
than otherwise. So yeah, it's a risk reward.
Yeah, I mean, if you make a deal with the devil, it always comes with a downside. But let's talk about something positive. The sun.
Oh, the sun. The sun is always positive, unless you get burned by
this
it.
artwork looks very positive.
The sun is pretty interesting because it grants you an increased regeneration buff, but only for 60 seconds.
Okay,
so
that's not a huge amount of time.
Like a regeneration shot and steroids, but very, very short-lived. You want to kick that in right the moment you open the door.
How much does it heal you?
Because any sorts of delay, like maybe your teammate getting down to your border, like basically the card has been most likely wasted. The power level of this one is similar to what if you remember Mariner from previous events, like having a very fast immediate healing. So this is very, very powerful, but again, very limited, and you want to make sure you capitalize on the advantage.
So I guess you want to like pop this and then push.
It burns out without giving you anything.
That sounds
I like
cool
that.
And very powerful, I think. But let's talk about the very risky one, in my opinion, Judgment.
Yeah, Judgment. It's risky, but it's also pretty cool. So what Judgment does is it doubles all of your current buffs, current status effects. So what it means is that if you're running a vitality a regeneration shot, if you're running a stamina shot, whatever the current timer is, by the time you play the card, this timer will be doubled.
Okay.
So this is really,
this could
really
be a big one to just pop at the start of a match.
Some of those shots if you use them in a clever way. However, it also at the same time zaps your health to 1 HP. So that might be quite forgiving if you have a regeneration shot, right? Just takes a moment to pick it up, but like you don't want to do that maybe necessarily mid-combat. And I had situations where I thought I found this next to some Bileweavers, and then let's just kick it in right away. And then a friend of mine, like doing playtesting, was just triggering the exec right next to us, and all of a sudden you have these
becomes one. That'd be really funny if that was the case.
When you use it, the monsters are absolutely not taking any chances here, and just try to murder you at any chance you get.
That's not super risky. That's going to to be really strong, though.
Again,
just find a safe spot,
it's more of a tactical
like just go
choice
chill
card,
inside
like
of
you
a
want to play this at the
building
right
and like
moment,
pop all of your shots, and then
like for example, you use a 4-shot boon with a pledge mark somewhere in the tower. Then maybe you kick it in right after.
It's gonna be like a 6 just from like a big shot of like stamina, regen, whatever.
Very interesting to see how people will.
It's gonna be a 16-minute shot then.
You can
if
do
it
multiple
doubles it, if you use it right away.
It's very expensive.
That's cool. I like that.
Usually ready to go because again, tarot cards are rather precious, but you do have quite some opportunities there to kind of mess around with stuff. So it's very interesting. Yeah, go figure the details out yourselves.
Use it and immediately pop the fool. Oh my god, yeah, that's actually
the most interesting one for me.
You could have just permanent.
Oh yeah, the Hanged Man is amazing.
With that,
so
that's crazy to think about.
Big real game changer. So what this one does, it allows you to spectate the nearest enemy hunter for a very limited time. I think it's like 15
seconds. Let's see how this one looks.
So as you can see, like you now see in dark
sight. So we get 15 seconds. 15 seconds is a lot.
Now
though.
you have to be quick. Like, okay, where could they be? What they're looking at? What direction they're facing? Are there any teammates? Maybe left, right. So trying to get as much information as possible because those 15 seconds are over in no time.
This will be very nice.
It gives you the chance to kind of understand where maybe
when you are like
the catch
you're not sure if you're the last person on the
server. The moment those 50 seconds are over, this is when the guys who have been spectated are now getting a little warning. So if you hear that in this little chiming sound, you understand, oh, damn it, we just got like spectated, and maybe this is where you want to make like a hard 90-degree turn left or so. Maybe approach the combat from a different, change your tactics around because like another team might know where you are, where you're going, etc. So you don't want to be predictable.
Yeah, I mean, it is so fun to play around with.
That'll be an interesting one. We'll have to see how that goes.
Very cool one and very big in name.
It is going to be very nice for anti-camping.
So yeah, like this card has like the name of the boss, right? Like that's the name of the event. So the Empress card is just positive things, and that's really, really cool. And I think you can predict some of the really nice advantage synergetic effects.
Okay.
From
so is Catalyst
whenever
coming
you play
back,
the Empress card, you get Catalyst. This is your way to getting Catalyst this event as well, right? Next to I think you can also get it randomly from the Destiny dial. But here guaranteed, whenever you play that card, you have it. So if you, for example, have drawn that from your Dark Tribute or you extracted it from last round, you want to start a new hunter, you can put the Empress right on the hunter's initial loadout. You know exactly that you will have Catalyst right from the get-go. So maybe you're going to pick a couple of traits that will have the Catalyst conditional effects, like Beast Face, for example, where like then the dogs, birds, etc. no longer react to you at all. So you can kind of plan a little bit ahead with that one. In addition to that, it gives you one instance of Necromancer guaranteed, and one other random burn or scarce trait. It could be Berserker, it could be Shadow, it could be any of those.
Could be Death Cheat.
That's going to be the random part. But now the interesting piece is obviously what this could mean for a solo who might have that card in the pockets.
Yes, and granting Necromancer back is going to be really, really nice to just have
to come up with interesting tactics. No guarantee that you can have like 4 or 5 revives that way, but at least it kind of changes the chances a little bit if you manage to slip away after setting up.
Yeah, I might be able to fool some people. Imagine this with like the Dark Side DeFi one. So those are going to be kind of a menace with tarot cards.
So they definitely won't find that around every corner.
I mean, it definitely is very cool. And last but not least, we have one that we already teased, and I saw a lot of players guessing what it could be, the Chariot.
The Chariot, yeah. So the Chariot is interesting because it also introduces a new game mechanic alongside. And so let me quickly just take a step back and actually explain the whole thing. Now, in general, what this card does, it swaps locked and unlocked extraction points for all players, all teams in Bounty Hunt. So this card does not work in Bounty Clash, for example.
What do you mean locked and unlocked extraction points?
In Soul Survivors. But for Bounty Hunt, it allows you to make sure that maybe an available or an accessible exit becomes inaccessible and the other way around. Now you wonder, but Dennis, what are inaccessible exits? So this is where the new mechanic ties in, and we now have a total of 4 extraction points across the map, the 3 that you have on the outside, and we have a 4th one, which is the central extraction. And half of those, the central one, and one of the others randomly, will be locked by default. So there is a little lock icon next to them, so you will not be able to use these to extract from the mission. However, by playing the Chariot card, you now have a chance to flip this around, and that means an extract that you might have had a chance to get out to. You're just moving there, another team just placed the card right now, and in this case, you all of a sudden are locked out. Now you need to find another.
That's actually really cool.
Exit to get out because it kind of changes the tactics. So this is going to be very interesting now. But there's a couple of counter mechanics around it. So it sounds a bit harsher in the beginning that it might be in the end. The point is that you can only
it's
play
really nice for bounty.
one of those cards
chasing like people who just sprint. So just dip after getting bounty.
If you have played a card, you know that no one else can kind of like Uno reverse the whole thing and nope these cards like into oblivion. They have to wait and see this through. So for example, a tactic could also be that if you have a locked extract next to your bounty layer, you're sitting inside with a bounty, you can actually play the card, and now you know that your exit is free to go for the next 5 minutes, and no one can do something unless obviously they fight you.
That's cool. I like that.
So in general, it gives you more options. It opens up lots more tactical possibilities. So something we're really interested to see how you guys feel about that one. In playtesting, it's been immensely fun, but also something you have to account for.
I'm curious to see what the central extraction is going to be.
The 5-minute cooldown is also coming into effect during the last 5 minutes of the match. So you can't play one in the last seconds or so, and then a team might be stranded, no chance to reach another exit. So there's going to be some safety nets in this.
Yeah, hot air balloon would be really cool.
By people trying to exploit it. But yeah, go play with it.
Can we talk more about the central extraction? That sounds interesting.
And I think it's very exciting. And thank you for driving us through all these. But now let's take a look at the very first look at our brand new gameplay trailer. And after that, we will be back with the Q&A.
Okay, gameplay trailer. Let's see.
Together now.
I love the spider webs. Ooh, Centennial Pointman skin. Did I see that right? Okay. Pointman fans are eating good. So pretty. Look at this. Especially in the rain. First look at the... Oh, that's a cool looking rival. Oh, Mosin Sniper skin. Okay. Absamat skin. Ooh, I like the sights on that rival. Can we see the Centennial real quick? The Wildlands? No? Okay, just the rival. Alright, I like that. Is it here? Overall, I think this is going to be a good update. I'm really kind of disappointed that they didn't do any more weapon balancing changes. I think I think that there is a very established meta right now, being long ammo rifle with short shotgun secondary with Crown and King, with the Auto 4. I'm surprised they didn't touch it at all, to be completely honest with you. Like when they said, oh yeah, we got new weapon balancing coming, and it's a reload nerf for the Cyclone and a quality of life change, like a recoil reduction for the Mako. Like, Kryzak, I love you, but that doesn't do anything. Those are more just quality of life things. Like, why is the Auto 4 still $300? I don't know. Like there are some changes that need to be made, I feel, and I think I'm gonna make a video about this because I do think Quartermaster is just incredibly dominant right now in the meta, especially with the addition of the Auto 4. But just in general, like short shotguns are crazy strong, and they kind of invalidate like a lot of other close range backup weapons, you know, or like. Quartermaster even invalidates like pistols to a degree because like the Obrez is so strong. If you're running a shotgun loadout, you can just, you know, bring an Obrez, and Obrez has like no sway. It hits super hard. Like, I don't know. It kind of invalidates things like melee, even though melee's getting a buff, which is really nice. Melee doesn't really mean shit when everyone has an Auto 4 in their back pocket. At least up in 6 stars, that's how a lot of it is. Like Quartermaster's just rampant, and I really hope they do something about it. And I think that short shotguns also need a little bit of tuning, a slight nerf, depending on which one we're talking about. The Auto 4 especially, there's no reason that thing should be $300 for how strong that it is. So, other than that, though, things seem good. I like the idea of the tarot card system. We'll have to obviously play with them to see how they play, but overall, It doesn't seem like it'll be anything too intrusive, especially with the ones that are going to be intrusive, like the ones that grant you like your necro back. Like that was something I was a little nervous about, like where Solo's gonna have like, I don't know. I like the way that Solos play right now, where it's like if you see them pick up with necro, like you can kill them and you're just like guaranteed you don't have to babysit them anymore. I like that the ones that are going to be maybe a bit more intrusive, a bit more annoying to play against, are going to be rarer, and obviously you can't just buy them, which is really nice. I think it'll make for some interesting interactions. Like here's some cool things. I like the extraction like changing one. That's super cool. I'm surprised I didn't talk more about the central extraction, but getting another extraction in the center of the map's gonna like fundamentally change how the game plays, which is super cool. But yeah, like the cosmetics look great. The Bileweaver and the Bileweaver nest looks really cool too. I like that the Bileweavers with them respawning are just kind of inherently like an anti-camping mechanic. Not that I've really had too many issues with people camping, but it is cool to know that like if you're playing around the nest, like that is not a safe place to hold like you could with the hideout or with the murder circus. That's cool. I like that. And honestly, like maybe that could be something that they use some sort of like respawning AI to like disincentivize camping in the future. I don't know. I don't know how they would do that. But it could be something kind of interesting. So I think overall this is a pretty cool update. Again, I just wish like, well, obviously we're getting 2 new weapons. We're getting the Wildland and we're getting the Homestead, which I think will be cool. I'm excited to try the Homestead with slugs, because I think a long barrel rival with slugs is gonna play super fun. Rival with slugs is already just a very fun weapon, but we'll see how the Centennial is, how the Wildland is. Increased damage on the Centennial might be pretty strong, especially if you're able to find bleed ammo for it. That could be pretty oppressive. That could be pretty annoying. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it requires a lot of luck. It's not like something you can just equip, but I don't know. I do kind of feel like these weapons. I feel like I like the idea of bringing scarce weapons in, but to have only scarce weapons, it just feels weird. It just feels kind of strange to not be able to to not have anything new that we like. All the new gear that we're getting is scarce, which is good. We're still getting new gear, but it would have been nice to have at least like one new thing that we could have like just auto equipped, like something we can just buy that we don't have to find in the world. Or at the very least, like I said, just give us like, I don't know, give us some more like meaningful balance changes. Like, I don't know, the fucking the reload nerf on the Cyclone's nice, because the Cyclone is a bit of a monster right now. Making it more like you have to be accurate is nice. The Mako, will give it a try and see how it plays, I guess. See if it's better, but like I still think the I don't think it's going to really do much for the Mako. I think the Mako is still the weakest of the long ammo rifles. At least in terms of those like more expensive repeating long ammo rifles. I think it really doesn't have much to offer. Unless you like levering, but levering's super inconsistent, and the Rarity is cheaper and has infinitely more ammo and utility and variants, and I don't know. So we'll see how that plays. We'll give the Mako a try again, but I don't know. I don't want to say they're running out of ideas, since the cards are really creative and cool, but almost feels like they're struggling with weapons. Yeah, I think that there are some weapons they could add, though. Like, I made an entire video about things that I would like to see them bring back. I think that the Shredder is a weapon that if they were to fundamentally change it and rework it so that it's not the overpowered monster that it was, a ricocheting saw blade launcher that's been, again, toned down to be like more in line with other weapons could be something pretty cool. It could be pretty neat. Or again, even something just as simple as like, I will continue to preach this to the day I die. A PAX True Shot Deadeye, I feel like would be such a fun addition. That's something we don't really have. We have the Dolch Deadeye, but that's the only single slot scope weapon that we have. And I feel like a True Shot Deadeye would just be so cool. I would love that. And that's something kind of new that we don't really have. So there is room for new weapons. There is absolutely room for new weapons. I do think they have to be a bit more selective because the arsenal is starting to get a little bit bloated. Which is why I was kind of advocating for, like, if we don't get any new weapons, like, why not just make some balancing changes to maybe buff up other things or, you know, nerf other things. Like, just do something to shift up the meta. Because as cool as all of this is, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change, like, what we see in terms of pick rate. Like, we're still going to see people running, like, Mosin Uppercut, Crag Auto 4, Auto 5, Mosin Obrez. Like, we're gonna see like the same few loadouts just recycled, unfortunately, because at least up in 6 stars, again, you have to remember I'm playing around, like, I'm usually playing against 5 and 6 stars as a solo, so I don't know, it's just I wish they had done more, but everything else seems cool. The cosmetics are neat, the 17th compound's great, the UI changes are amazing, the tarot cards look interesting, like, everything else looks great. I just wish we had something with the weapons, something meaningful. So